Are you ready to find out which 25 of the largest grocery stores in America declared bankruptcy? From intense competition to changing consumer trends, these once thriving businesses couldn't survive the storm. But which ones made the list? Stay tuned to find out and learn what you can do to prevent your own business from suffering the same fate. 25. STEIN. STEIN, a discount department store chain that specializes in fashion and home goods, was founded in 1908 in Greenville, Mississippi, and grew to have over 280 locations across the United States. In 2020, the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy due to financial struggles caused by COVID-19 pandemic and the rise of e-commerce. Despite efforts to restructure and find a buyer, STEIN just couldn't and permanently closed all of its stores in 2021. 24. Henry's. Henry and Jesse Bonney started a fruit stand in La Mesa, California in 1893, which became a successful grocery business. In the 1970s, their sons founded Windmill Farms and returned to the supermarket industry. The company was renamed Henry's Marketplace in 1997 and was later sold to Wild Oats Market. The Bonney family then founded Sprouts in Arizona and merged it with Henry's after the Whole Food acquired Wild Oats and sold the Henry store to Smart and Final. All Henry stores were eventually rebranded as Sprouts by the Bonney family. Number 23. Waldbaum's. Waldbaum's was a grocery store that sold a range of commodities including deli meat, dairy, baked goods, fruit, and frozen foods. It was originally based in New York, but later opened locations in New Jersey and Connecticut. Despite operating well for 115 years, A&P eventually acquired it in 1986. In 2015, Waldbaum's and its parent business both declared their operations to be over. Number 22. Food Fair. Food Fair was a grocery store chain that started in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania in the 1920s and became one of the top 5 grocery stores of the U.S. with around 500 stores in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. It also had stores in Florida and California. It rebranded as Pantry Pride in the 1980s and embraced innovations like electric registers, scanners, UPS codes, and discount stores before disappearing from the retail grocery landscape. Number 21. Alpha Beta. Alpha Beta was a California-based grocery store chain with a cowboy mascot that operated from 1910 to 1995. After a 1979 hostile takeover, it began to decline and merged with Ralph's Grocery Company in 1994, resulting in all stores being rebranded as Ralph's while Alpha Beta lost its identity. Number 20. Tidyman's. Tidyman's was a Spokane-based grocery chain founded in 1965 that was the country's first warehouse-style supermarket. It grew to include multiple locations in Idaho and Washington and became the first employee-owned grocery chain in the U.S. in 1984. However, it faced financial difficulties and low employee morale in the 2000s and sold its remaining locations to pay off debts. Number 19. Double 8 Food. Double 8 Foods was a beloved grocery store chain in Indianapolis that served a food dessert area and provided fresh food to the local community. It was named after the date it opened, August 8th, which was also the anniversary of its owners. It faced financial troubles and was unable to find buyer in 2015, leading to the closure of all of its locations. Number 18. BUTTREY Food. BUTTREY was a department store chain in Montana that became a grocery store in the 1930s and operated under the Buttercup food brand. It was acquired by Albertsons in 1998 after 68 years in business, and the Buttercup food brand was completely phased out. Number 17. MARSH Supermarkets. MARSH Supermarkets, an Indiana and Ohio-based grocery store business that eventually opened hundreds of locations, filed for bankruptcy in 2017. It was established in 1931 and operated for 88 years before closing. Under the management of a private equity group that didn't know how to run grocery stores, the company experienced a protracted, sluggish demise. Number 16. White Hen Pantry. White Hen Pantry was one-stop shop for groceries with 245 locations in Chicago and 55 in Boston. It faced declining sales after being sold to Clark Retail Group in 2000, and its parent company filed for bankruptcy in 2002. It was later acquired and renamed 7-Eleven in 2006. But let's be real, nothing will ever compare to the glory days of White Hen Pantry. Number 15. Hanky Danky. Hanky Danky was a grocery store chain in Omaha that competed with Piggly Wiggly and introduced modern features like automated doors, checkouts, and grocery carts with refrigerated and freezer cases. It was also the first supermarket to offer ATM machines. However, it faced management and union issues and closed in the early 2000s. Too bad, because Hanky Danky was ahead of its time in terms of convenience for shoppers. 14. A&P. The Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company, A&P, was a well-known grocery store chain founded in 1859 as a mail-order tea company in New York City. It opened its first small grocery store in 1912 and became one of the top supermarkets in the nation. Its revenues declined in 2015, and it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy that year, leading to the closure of all A&P stores. Number 13. Cash and Carry. Cash and Carry was a Florida-based chain of stores founded by Salvatore Greco that provided fast services to busy shoppers. It was acquired by Lucky Stores in 1979 and at its peak had 117 stores. It opened new checkout lanes if there were 3 or more customers waiting in line. Due to rapid expansion of competition, Cash and Carry eventually closed in 2007. Number 12. Eagle Food Centers. Eagle Food Centers was a well-known grocery store chain in the Midwest that faced competition from larger chains and supercenters with lower labor costs. It operated 61 markets in Illinois and Iowa and closed all its locations in 2003 after declaring bankruptcy in 2000. Number 11. APPLETREE Market. Approach Market was a Texas-based supermarket chain owned by Safeway in the 1980s. It was sold and rebranded as APPLETREE in 1989, but faced corporate problems and a strike in 1992 that led to bankruptcy. It emerged from bankruptcy in 1993, but faced increasing local competition and permanently closed in 1990. Number 10. Hughes. The Hughes grocery store chain was founded in the 1950s by Joseph Hughes, who introduced fresh fish to supermarkets and refused to merge with other companies, take on debt, or change store operations. His son Roger took over in 1982 and aggressively expanded the company, which became a billion-dollar company after a merge with Quality Food Centers in 1997. The remaining Hughes stores were rebranded as Ralph's in 1999, making an end of an era for this iconic grocer. Number 9. Pantry Pride. Pantry Pride was a Florida-based grocery store chain in the 1960s, formed when Food Fair purchased Best Markets and rebranded its private label as Pantry Pride. It had financial difficulties in the mid-1980s, and control of the company was given to McAndrews & Forbes Acquisition Corp. At its peak, Pantry Pride had 440 supermarkets in 7 states on the East Coast and the Bahamas, but it is now defunct. Alas, even the most beloved of grocery store chains can fade away, and Pantry Pride is now just a distant memory. Number 8. Victory Supermarkets. Victory Supermarkets was a Massachusetts-based grocery chain founded in 1923. It had 20 stores, over 2,600 employees, and annual revenue of around $385 million. It was inspired by the American war effort in World War I and was sold to Hannaford Brothers Company in 2004. Number 7. Fresh and Easy. Fresh and Easy was a UK-based grocery chain that operated over 150 stores in the U.S. from 2007 to 2015. It aimed to be a chain of healthful convenience stores but struggled with a lack of investment, unclear communication of its mission, and distribution issues. It filed for bankruptcy twice before closing permanently in 2015. In the end, Fresh and Easy just turned into a distant memory. But hey, at least they tried. Number 6. Grand Union. Each Grand Union store was tailored to the needs of its local community and offered a range of brand names and private label groceries. Some locations even had cafes and pharmacies, but unfortunately, in 2001, Grand Union filed for bankruptcy and was bought by C&S Wholesale Grocers, which later sold it to Top Friendly Markets. And just like that, a year later, the Grand Union brand was no more. Goodbye, Grand Union. We'll always remember the good times we had at your supermarkets. Number 5. KOHL'S Food Stores. KOHL'S, a discount clothing store, started a grocery store in Milwaukee in 1927. It expanded to include drugstores and liquor stores and became the largest supermarket chain in Milwaukee. It was later sold to a subsidiary of British American Tobacco Company and closed by Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company in 2003. Number 4. JITNEY Jungle. JITNEY Jungle was a southern U.S. grocery chain that started in Mississippi in 1919 and spread across the southeast. It adapted to change its food retailing and remained a private family-owned chain until 1996, when it was absorbed by Winn-Dixie and rebranded as such. It was in operation until 2000. Number 3. DOMINICK'S Finer Foods. DOMINICK'S was a Chicago grocery chain that was a local institution and reached a peak of 72 stores. However, it struggled to compete with other retailers and faced the burden of unionized labor. It also failed to modernize and give customers a reason to keep coming back, leading to its decline. But hey, at least we'll always have the memories of shopping at DOMINICK'S in its prime. Number 2. National Tea. National Tea was a grocery store chain with over 1,600 locations and $90 million in annual sales in the 1920s. It struggled during the Great Depression and remained one of the largest chains in the country until the 1970s. It was sold to A&P in 1976. Number 1. Ultra Foods. Ultra Foods was a grocery chain in northern Indiana and Chicago that was known for discounted prices in the 1980s. It eventually had 16 stores, but faced competition, and the final store was absorbed by Strack & Van till in 2017. The company's struggles serve a reminder that even successful businesses may face challenges and must adapt to changing markets to survive. The struggle of these once thriving businesses shows that it's always important for businesses to adapt to the changing market and make smart decisions in order to survive. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more informative content like this.